Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Running Code, humor in South Texas law enforcement. I'm your host, T-Bone, along with my partner, J-Man. Welcome back, bud.
Yeah, I know it's been like 3 months.
It has been a while. We have guys,
Really
we're really
busy.
sorry, and I've gotten your emails, and I've gotten your messages, and we haven't forgot about y'all. And of course, Jax is back as part of the cast. He can't stand to be left out. That is my ferocious canine who thinks he's 10 times his size. But I know we've been away for a while, guys. Sorry. It has been busy. It has been nonstop. Our schedule's changed and flip-flopped, and trying to get together to do this is just... And I know a lot has gone on in the country in the last 3 months. See, we haven't done episodes since March, April, May, June. Like, good God.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot to cover. We're not going to probably cover any one topic, but there's just so much to cover that's happened in the last 3 months that we need to talk about and get out there. And we appreciate y'all's patience. Please, thank you for staying with us. I do get the reports. People are still downloading us, listening to us. In fact, we are now in, I'm kind of proud of this. Where are we at? So I'm going to look up the stats and tell us we're in all sorts of weird countries too. We really are. Let me look at the location stats here. So we are now in, come on, there we go, 37 countries and 604 cities. So we'd like to thank you very much. Apparently we have quite a following in Japan and Israel.
Oh, okay. I mean that's
And
Japan.
Russia. Apparently Russia, we have quite the following in Russia. Maybe because their cops are a little more like ours. Their cops get a little bit hands-on compared to what our cops do. But apparently the top countries are Russia, the Netherlands, Britain, Canada, Israel, and Japan.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I like that. So to all of our listeners, thank you very much.
Let me refrain. It's pretty. I like the expansion. I in no way want no one to take that. Oh, I like that we're in Russia specifically. you know how people are, man.
Yeah,
like,
with how things are going on right now.
No,
Our newest listener comes from South Africa.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Turks and Caicos, Brazil, India, Romania, Slovakia, Ireland, Mexico.
Turks and Caicos got that money. If you get some,
they do.
There we go.
Maybe we can get some sponsors out of there. Spain, Germany, South Korea, Denmark, Australia, Hungary, Ukraine. I'm amazed they have power.
I'm amazed.
Romania, Slovakia. Now I'm kind of curious what they think.
Yeah,
they're kind of busy right now. I'm kind of have bigger things in their mind. But hey, we appreciate you listening.
I guess they got so much going on. Sometimes you need a good distraction.
Yeah. Estonia, weird. Mexico, Sweden, Italy, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Czechia, St. Martin, the Dutch half of the island, Albania, Bahamas, Thailand, Chile, and South Africa. So that's good. But Russia's our number 2 listener. So I don't know. Hey, I'm not complaining. And then cities, there's 604 of them. I can't name them all off.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see who the latest city was. Scroll down here to the bottom here. Spanish Fork, Utah, and Seoul, South Korea.
Sweet.
All right, good deal. Well, we appreciate y'all listening, and we're going to try to get back on this so we can be a little more regular. We do apologize. Before we get into today's fun and games, I did get a couple emails from some listeners. Kind of wanted to go over them, and if they're listening, I'll leave your name out, but you'll know who I'm talking about. I got an email from a gentleman we'll just call T. Just keep it simple, T.
Yeah.
He's I'm going to read his email, and it was a good email, and it was very thoughtful and well written, and I had to answer that. It was just, I liked what he had to say. So he said, "Hello, I'm a new listener from the Puget Sound area. I enjoyed your So You Want to Be a Cop episode as well as many others. I was a volunteer and part-time paid firefighter for many years. I was secretly jealous of the cops." Thank you. We all know that. We know firefighters are jealous of the cops. That's okay. That was our Firefighters vs. Cops episode. For many years, I was secretly jealous of the cops, not because they were like canaries in a coal mine for hazmat calls. That's fucked up, but probably true. But because their cars can drive faster than overweight fire trucks. Well, I hope that's not the only reason he was jealous. But about a year ago, he said, "I seriously looked into law enforcement. Lots of departments can't find enough qualified candidates. The PAT changed, no running. Some departments are allowing DACA recipients to apply." That's California.
Yeah.
Washington State is trying to pass a law allowing non-citizens to apply. The state also has the lowest per capita of LEOs to citizens. Yeah. He's an older guy. I'm not gonna read the entire email, but we got to the end here, and this one I really got. I had to think about. He said, "At 56 years old, am I just fooling myself, or is there a real opportunity provided I survive the academy?" Well, T, I think you have what guys in their 20s and 30s don't have. You have life experience, wisdom, knowledge. You take all your life experiences, the jobs you've had before, it will make you a better cop.
You know, it
A
does.
well-rounded one. Are you going to be chasing people over fences? Probably not. Okay, that is a young man's game. Are you going to do 20 and go to still 76? Probably not. But you can still bring a value to that department.
Absolutely.
As long as you can be safe, be smart, and you have a good hold on your temper, which hopefully by 56, you got a pretty good hold on your temper, and you got common sense. The rarest sense of all is common sense. And I think you'll be all right. It is a young man's game. It is really a young man's game. If I chase someone now, shoot that son of a bitch because he's wanted for murder. Okay, because I'm not chasing anybody anymore. My knees aren't doing it no more. Can I? If I had to, it's like that old saying, I'm not as good as I once was, and I'll be as good once as I ever was. But I'm not going to be doing it every day, chasing people over fences anymore. It's just, I'm more cerebral now as a detective. But could I do it? Yes. But a man at his age, that's not a barrier. It's getting more and more common these days. You get people that retire from career one and go like, you know what? I'm bored. One of our reservist captains is 60. He does the jobs like anybody else.
Yep.
So age is not the barrier. It's physical ability, mental ability, emotional stability. If you can do all that, you'll be fine. Life experience will make you a better cop than the 25-year-old rookies. Hands down, because your life experience. Will you be as fast as them? No. And that's just reality. But will you be better than them? Probably.
Yeah.
Because you can take all that life experience and work the problem better than they can. Because they're 25. What life experience do they have at 25? If they're, I mean, maybe if they did 5 years in the Rangers, you know, and they this combat time, maybe they have a little more life experience. But you have 5.5 decades of life experience.
Yep.
So you're twice their age, which means 4 times the value if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
So T, go for it, brother. And we would like an email from you if you do it. We'd like to know.
Sure.
We'd like to know. I got another one. This is Spike. Spike, if you're listening, I got your email, buddy. I'm sorry it took so long to reply. He wanted to thank us for the Constitution episode in the U.S. Constitution. And he said, I want to thank you for this episode. I always get tripped up sometimes in studying different laws for my test through my local police academy. Keep up the great shows. Looking forward to future episodes.
Yeah.
I had other people comment on other platforms about how they like the constitutional episodes.
It's a good episode. Good.
It was.
Great document, especially given the time period it was written in. And
Brilliant men.
it's just a lot of the arguments, it's a dead document. It's not a living document.
Well, not now. Now you hear from the liberals it's a living, breathing document, which means it can be changed.
Right. Now it can be changed.
11 and up can be.
Yeah.
For 1 through 10, they made that real clear for a good reason. It cannot be changed because they knew that people were going to want to change it. Now, did they know that number 2 was going to be the most controversial of all? Probably not back then.
Right.
Because back then it was, but remember, they weren't allowed to have weapons.
Yeah.
Because the British didn't want them having weapons because they, it's really hard to invade a country when everybody's shooting at you.
Yeah,
like this one.
It was they had at the time no organized militia.
Yep.
It was all the 13 colonies and their citizens who could fight, who wanted to volunteer. You need to have guns to do that.
Yep. So they knew that was important, and like we had stated before, 1 is probably the most important, but 2 is like right there because 2 protects number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And the government should fear the people. People should not fear the government.
Yep.
Now, I am not advocating an overthrow in any way, shape, or form. That is not what I'm saying. So before anyone gets us canceled or runs off crying, I'm not advocating a government overthrow. I'm saying the government, though, should be cautious of its citizens, not vice versa.
Very ran crime.
A government, a citizen should not fear what their government's going to do to them unjustly.
Right.
And on that topic, let's talk about what's going on in the world right now. So it is mid-June.
Mm-hmm.
We know what's been going on around the country.
Yep.
The protests against ICE and deportation. It's a touchy subject. I get it. Everything we say today, people are not going to agree. Not everyone's going to agree. And that is fine. That is your prerogative. It is okay and all right to have a different opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It is not okay when it turns violent.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King, great man. He was very smart, way ahead of his time. Told all his followers, don't get violent. They stop listening when you get violent. And he was right. No one wants to hear you anymore when you start breaking shit and rioting and destroying shit. Nobody wants to hear you any longer. Okay, you stay calm, people will listen to you. Problem is, certain elements can't stay calm. And that's both sides. That's not just the far left. There's far right, too, that can't stay calm either.
Mm-hmm.
We need to bring it back from here and here and bring it back a little bit. Okay. Do I 100% agree with everything ICE is doing? Maybe not 100% with everything they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But are the people protesting this going about it the wrong way? Yes, they are. Okay. Blocking access facilities, not going to do anything. You're just going to get yourself arrested.
Yeah.
What'd you solve there? Nothing. And do you think they'd care at your trial? Why? No. If you get yourself ran over by a car because you stood in front of it, that's your being a dumbass. Don't stand in front of cars. Okay? Especially surround the car, start beating on it. Yeah, that driver's going to panic and hit the gas. I don't blame him one bit. Throwing Molotov cocktails at federal agents. No.
Yeah.
California wants to pass a law where it would be a misdemeanor criminal offense for a police officer to cover his face.
Yeah, I can honestly see the federal law enforcement not even complying with that.
Yeah, because they're federal.
And there'll be a stopgap in there as to
There will,
why they don't have to comply with it.
We're not covering.
I think that's pretty stupid too.
I don't think they're covering their face because they're worried about
Being identified,
being ashamed. They're worried about their kids getting attacked or their family being attacked or them getting doxxed. That's what they're worried about.
Yeah, because it's a real thing.
It's a real thing, and it happens. But I saw a TikTok, and this girl was like, we cover our faces because we don't want the government coming after us. And then the TikToker, the guy interviewing her, she gives her full name and her date of birth, like on TikTok. I'm like, you're an idiot.
The FBI found the guy that was throwing
Molotov
cocktails.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
So it's whatever.
It doesn't. It's just the arguments don't make sense. So you have, if you want to look left and right and say the Mason-Dixon's dividing line, okay. Look how the protests are going in California versus how they're going in Florida. Look at the marked difference between the two. You only have to look at the leadership of those two states to see why.
Mm-hmm.
I love Governor DeSantis. I think he's a fantastic governor, and he doesn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to allow that lawless bullshit in his state. He's just not going to. End of story. And the sheriffs are all right behind him. All those sheriffs it's not happening here. We're not playing these games. But then you get far left, Governor Newsom, who has no problem with that. He thinks that's just absolutely Viking to destroy crap and call it peaceful. It's not. Now, did it start out peaceful? It may. And the majority of them may be peaceful. But you got your agitators that get in the crowd and they start winding everybody up and start doing shit. And then it spreads. And it really does. Violence spreads.
I will say that I have seen some of the peaceful protesters. They will police themselves in the crowd.
The peaceful ones, yeah.
Yeah. So which is funny because I've seen I guess people trying to loot like a sushi restaurant. Like it's just stupid things, right?
Okay.
They were trying to loot the sushi restaurant and they actually made the people get out and kick them out and we don't do that. We don't do this. And then they actually blocked off the broken entrances. Probably a little bit late now, but hey, that's something because I wouldn't have expected it to happen. I would have expected people to just bypass it, keep going, and whatever happened to the place happened to the place. But they actually policed themselves. They policed themselves in a few different scenarios.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was some agreement, I guess, that some states are making. Some of the local law enforcement is making with the protesters is police yourself first. And then
so we don't have to.
If you don't do it or you're not doing it like you should, and then we're going to step in and take care of it because you can't do it.
Yeah.
So apparently that already happened in a few major cities. And good job to the citizens and the police departments because that's probably one of the real examples of cohesion that anybody has seen probably in a long time.
Yeah, so this protest specifically, they don't have anything against local cops at all. It's against the feds.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to expose hypocrisy to the left. They don't want to hear it. They're going to do la 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 la. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
But every president prior to this one has done the exact same thing. Deportations.
Yeah.
They've been going on for a very long time. This is not all of a sudden new or all of a sudden we started doing this. It's just because President Trump is doing it, it's a problem.
Right.
And you're going to hear, these are all good people. Wrong. A lot of them are not. 2, what about due process? They didn't take due process to get in the U.S. Why all of a sudden do they get due process to get out?
Yeah.
There is a legal and due process way to become a resident and a citizen of this country. You do that, welcome to America. It's the dream.
Yeah.
I have a problem with the illegal part of it. We don't know who you are. We don't know your criminal history. We don't know, what do you bring? What is your value added to this country? What's your value added? Not value subtracted. What's your value added? If you're coming here to be a drain, I don't want you. Okay, so my thought process was fine. They want to stay, cut them off the tit completely. No free housing, no free food, no free food stamps, no nothing free. Period. And then let's see if we still get the rush of people coming over when they stop when we wrench the off on that spigot, because we're spending money on crap we don't need to be spending it on, because they're taking money from citizens who've earned it through Social Security and welfare that they paid for into their taxes, and they're giving it to people who've done nothing to earn it, other than they got over here illegally.
Right.
I have a problem with that. Okay, that's not value added. That's value subtracted. Okay, you always hear about Social Security running out of money. You never hear about welfare running out of money, though, strangely.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? The people who actually paid into it from the day they got their first job until the day they retired may not get what they paid into. And that's an entitlement. And I've heard that phrase before. Oh, welfare is an entitlement. Welfare is not an entitlement. Social Security is an entitlement because you paid into it and you earned it. That is your entitlement. You earned that.
Mm-hmm.
Welfare is not an entitlement. Welfare was designed to get you on your feet long enough for you to get a job and become self-reliant.
Yeah.
And then we turn the money spigot off, and you're on your own. Good luck.
It was a solution to a
But
social
it's
issue.
changed.
Yeah.
Now you got fourth generation welfare recipients, and they have a handbook on how to get more and more money from the government and more money. That's not value added. Welfare is no value added.
Mm-hmm.
In my grandfather's day, if you didn't have a job, you were ashamed. Like, you were shamed by the public. Nobody wanted to be around you. You were like, you're willing to work, or you're capable of working, but you don't.
Right.
We don't want you. You're go away. I can see that, and I can agree with that. And if anyone capable of working just chooses not to, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But I have a bigger problem. If you want to be homeless, that's on you. Hey, that's a great age. This is America. You can be homeless. But to purposely not work and then get more money, that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
Because I work hard for mine. I'm not in the welfare line. I'm not taking food stamps. I work hard for every dollar I got. And it's an honest living. All I want is an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. That's it. But these guys are getting free money and have done nothing to earn it other than exist. I have a problem with that. Take it to a larger picture. Now you have millions of illegal immigrants who come into this country illegally that we don't know who you are. We've caught Middle Easterners from countries that are terrorist threat groups with them. They're coming over the southern border. Cartels are helping them do it. You got Syrians, Saudis. A good portion of the 9/11 hijackers came across the Mexico border into the U.S. illegally. It's a security thing. But why is it we're the only country not allowed to close our borders to threats? But Mexico just closed their southern border.
They did.
Because they didn't want the drain in their resources coming through their country. I'm like, what a concept.
Their citizens didn't want it either.
So when are they going to start rioting against Mexico?
They won't.
They won't. Because Trump told them he was going to deport people. If Trump told them dog shit tasted bad, liberals will run out and start eating it. If Trump told them oxygen was bad or good for you, they would probably suffocate themselves with plastic bags. This is how far this idiocy has gotten. Like, you don't stop to think for yourself. You take what you see off social media, TikTok, all that, Instagram, and you go, oh, that's got to be the truth because I don't like him, so anything he says is a lie. Instead of realizing he's not made new laws. These laws have been on the books for a long time. He's enforcing it, and he's making sure it's being done.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, oh my God, he's the horrible man. He's not. He's doing his job. And this, no kings, he's not a king. He's not a monarch. He was elected. Whether you like it or not, he was elected. He won the popular vote and the electoral vote. He won. I'm sorry I don't like that. That's how democracy works. I wasn't real thrilled with the last choice, but that's how democracy works. So I couldn't really complain. I did my part. I voted. He didn't win. The one I wanted didn't win. Okay, fine. Move on with my life. I can't complain about it. I voted.
Right.
But if you didn't vote, you can't complain. Get out there and vote. If you didn't vote, okay, well, then you have no right to vote or no right to complain. But if you didn't have the right to vote because you're a felon or you're illegal, well, shut the fuck up. You're not allowed to vote anyway. Okay? These states are trying to make it like, oh, voter ID laws are racist. No, they're not. No, they're not. If you're not a citizen, you do not have the right to vote. Period.
Yeah.
I cannot go to another country and vote in their elections because I'm not a citizen of that country.
Yeah.
And some countries, just because you immigrate there, they still don't allow you to vote. Some of those countries are only if you were born there do they allow you to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're the racist ones. We're the racist bad people. But I guarantee you, if Republicans or if Democrats had wanted a voter ID law, Republicans wouldn't be raising all the fucking hell over it. They'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Because you need an ID to buy a gun, cash a check, buy a car, buy a house, get a job. You need an ID for all those things. None of that's racist. But voting, all of a sudden, that's racist? It makes no sense. Their arguments fall on their own, they fall flat in their own face. And that's, you know who Charlie Kirk is?
Yeah.
I love Charlie Kirk.
Turning Point,
I
USA?
love Charlie Kirk. And you know he's winning when they just attack his hair or his teeth or something. They're like, oh my God. They just lose their shit. It's fucking hilarious because he's calm and he's rational and he makes rational points. Kind of like Ben Shapiro. He's calm. He makes a rational point. People just, oh my God. What they want is inflammatory. Mm-hmm. They want you to meet their rhetoric back and attack them. They don't have to. I have facts. You have emotions. Those two don't jive. It's kind of like Vulcans in Star Trek. There's logic. Be logical. If you think about this logically, you'll find that you're getting mad over nothing. Because the average person, this does not affect. Okay? Does it suck that children are getting sent back to Mexico, a country they've never been born because their parents came here illegally? Yes, that does suck. But your parents made that choice. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but the children need to stay with the parents too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. The whole anchor baby thing is long gone now. No, we're not doing that. Okay? You didn't come here legally. What kills me is there are people who are born and raised here in the United States. They're born Americans with all the rights and privileges there too. Want to throw a fit about this. I'm like, you're an American though. You were born here. And they still throw a fit about it. None of this makes sense to me.
It goes to, for that portion, it goes to just the whole narrative that America is just a racist country.
Yeah.
So it's like, and this is just like also to kind of piggyback on when you talk about how like Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro, they'll get attacked on like their physical, I guess, characteristics when they're trying to make an argument or like debate with people, is because when you're debating somebody who's a progressive, even further left than a progressive, they're arguing from a different like type of authority. It's not logic and reasoning. They're arguing from a moral aspect of it. So as long as whatever they're doing goes against their moral beliefs, you're automatically wrong. There is no right.
Yeah.
There is no meeting it in the middle.
No. If you start at 100, you have nowhere to go.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of these arguments, like the debates that they go through, and I know they go to college campuses, well, Charlie Kirk does, college campuses all around the nation to to try to change people's minds. And he has a lot more supporters than people think.
Oh, yeah.
He'll go to a college campus, and it looks like an even split on the campus they title themselves as liberal education. And it's like an even split almost. But yeah, that's just how it is. It's unfortunate.
If you watch the Charlie Kirk videos, do you notice the ones that attack him? Look at their general appearance.
I don't
just saying.
I don't like painting people with a broad brush or whatever.
I don't like to
but
judge.
I do know what you're talking about.
Okay, I don't like to judge a book by its cover.
I do know what you're talking about.
I don't like to judge a book by its cover, but if you jam it up my ass and twist it a few times,
but you gotta remember in college. I think I had this discussion with you before. I don't know if we ever had it like on this type. I think we had it off camera. But when I went through college, it kind of did feel like an indoctrination. Because
It's absolutely is. It has become one.
My political exposure was to, it's kind of funny, the Young Turks. Now, I still watch the Young Turks. Anna Kasparian, Cenk Uygur. I still watch them to a degree. But that was imagine me being 16, 17 years old and my exposure to Young Turks. They're progressive. A lot of their I like Bernie Sanders. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the free education, free healthcare, and them having no concrete foundation outside of what I'm hearing from them. Mm-hmm. I was very progressive when I around 16, 17 to get to college. And when you already have those roots with no foundation, it's kind of worse. At 18, I read a book from Ben Shapiro, one of Ben Shapiro's, I guess, his first books when he first started, becoming more mainstream with his political career and success. I think it's a book called Porn. I can't remember the whole title. It's a long-ass title, but the book is titled The Big Thing Was Porn. I think he did that for a reason, marketing, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that always gets people's attention.
But it's about how, I guess you want to call it left-leaning policies have kind of, destroyed America from a moral and a social standpoint. Mm-hmm. Good book. But it's just, it's kind of like an understanding of how when you go to college, you're getting an education, yes. I have some disagreements about some of the classes or electives you take. I think a lot of that is part of a money grab. But a lot of it feels like indoctrination. Mm-hmm. A lot of the professors, they do not just keep that student-teacher relationship. A lot of it is them putting their opinions out there. I'm not calling it force, but they're putting their opinions out there. But I'm more susceptible to receive it because I'm already more prone to listening to it. At least I was anyway. It's anecdotal. At least I was anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of this stuff made sense. I didn't think the police were racist, but for sure I wasn't messing with the police. Not enough to think about that I'd actually be a police officer. I was thinking that the government is just overly heavy-handed with all minorities. A lot of this stuff I used to believe, but as I've gotten older and you just look at evidence that
bigger
suggests
picture.
the otherwise, and you take in more information instead of putting myself in the echo chamber, like, okay, like something's not right here. It don't smell right.
So let me ask you something. As a black man in this country who's been on this planet 3 decades in this country, do you feel that America is racist? And I want an honest answer from you. I'm not going to knock you if you say yes, I do, because that's your perspective, your opinion. I'm just curious. Do you feel that America, by and large, is a racist country?
As a whole, no, but individualized for like the certain peoples, yeah. Because I just and then this goes to the whole thing where people say that there's still systemic racism, but they use systemic racism from the position of establishments and what they've historically done. But there's no I don't have a threat of going outside and being hung from a tree just because I'm black.
Yeah.
Sorry for the explicit language. Because it's going to go to YouTube. I should have phrased that differently. I forgot.
No, you're allowed to say it. You're allowed to say it because you're black.
Like so,
if I just said it, we get canceled. You say it, we're good.
So
let's just be honest.
Now, I'm not ignorant to the fact that socially there's different types of, for quote unquote of a better word, lynchings. Like there's different types. This is within the intellectual community. So I understand that portion, but I don't have that general fear. Like I just don't. Now, from an individual standpoint, if someone makes it known to me that they're prejudiced, they're racist, okay, I know to avoid that individual in general. But I've been able to get employment, get jobs when I've had to get jobs. I don't think there was a systemic issue there for me not getting a job. You could say that was affirmative action, that was DEI, whatever, when I was from 18 up until now. But I didn't see it that way. I just saw it that, okay, I had these qualifications. My resume looked okay. I did everything that was necessary or right for me to get the job, and I got the job. I just don't look at it from that lens. I don't go outside looking.
Do you feel that you got a fair shake every time you apply for a job?
As much as the next person, yeah. Me personally, yeah.
Yeah.
That's just how I felt. That's just how I feel. I don't think there's one time I've been marginalized on a systemic level, meaning like an institutionalized level. Like I've definitely felt like racism at some points. Like when growing up in my hometown, I'm walking down the street. I love to wear hoodies, and I wore a lot of black hoodies. That's just what it was. I grew up in a rough area, so I'm not stupid. I'm not going to go out there looking like an easy target. Food as the whatever. I'm not going to go out there like an easy target. And the way I presented myself, white people were terrified. They crossed the street. I specifically remember an older white woman crossing the street when we were walking on the same side of the street.
Oh my God.
And it bothered me at first, but then at the second time, I'm like, well, I'm trying to look like this for a reason anyway.
Yeah.
So whatever. It accomplished the job.
You became self-aware of how your appearance affected others, rightly or wrongly.
Well, yeah, because I'm not trying to.
You don't want to look like a target.
I'm not trying to get robbed or anything.
Yeah.
One of the bus stops I used to catch the bus from back home, I remember the day before I went to work, they beat somebody for their shoes. Like he was dead, and they noticed his shoes was gone. He was robbed specifically for his shoes.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I'm not going to go out here and act like everything is like bubble gum, rainbows, and all this stuff.
To be fair, where you were raised is one of the most violent cities in the country.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out there and look like an easy target.
We're all a product of our environment.
Yeah.
Where I was raised in Northern California, where I was originally raised, it was the melting pot. We had every race, creed, color, religion in that town. So I grew up around everybody. Mm-hmm. And I had black friends, white friends, Jewish friends, Asian friends, Russian friends. It's just... friend groups it'd be so mixed. There was no race separation. Northern California is like everybody's friends with everybody. Now I'm talking about like central northern, not like Ukiah, where that's like, it's white. It's oatmeal. All right.
Oatmeal.
A black man driving through Ukiah would get attention. I'm telling you right now, the Ukiah sheriffs would be like, run that plate. Where I'm from, it's just a melting pot. Everybody's there. So I was used to that. And it never, I honestly did not see racism for the first time myself until when I went down to Southern Alabama. And Southern Alabama, it's still very much alive and well. Now, this was 25 years ago, but I doubt it's changed. It's Southern Alabama. I had never seen that in my life. My eyes opened like that. Like, holy shit, this still happens? Like, this ain't Mississippi burning. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, it was still alive and well. And it blew my mind. And because we went down as a military unit, we did some training down there. And I'll never forget it. I'm going to try to clean this up for the show because I don't want to get canceled. Whatever, cancel me. That just proves me right. I remember this guy in one of the bars asking me, do you work, and I'm going to clean this up, what he said. I will paraphrase. Do you work with any black people? Read between the lines. That's not what he asked me.
No, of course.
Not how he phrased it.
Yeah, yeah.
But he said, do you work with any black people? I said, well, yeah. I'm in the military. He goes, are they the same as a white guy? Huh? It took a second. I'm like, wait, what? I don't understand your question. Do they work as hard as a white guy? It was nice meeting you, sir. Nope. Walked off. But it wasn't the first time we heard something like that or the last, that whole month we were there. And I was just like, oh my God.
And that's what I mean.
Down there, I said, well, I've noticed, I was asking the cops. I don't see too many black people around here. Oh, they're on the south side of the tracks. What? Are you serious? Yeah, and they're happier over there. And we're happier they're there. What the fuck?
And see, that's what I mean. This is not a nation. This is not
it's
the
not
nationwide
a nationwide
policy.
issue. It's
like
pockets.
There's not no policy or bill that calls for that. That's what I mean on a systemic level. To me, that is an example of systemic in that area. That is actually individualized when you look at the whole nationwide concept of what's going on. Like it's just, and that is the type of examples that I go for when I'm ever asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe there is a systemic racism problem? And my general answer will be no, for reasons like that. That is individualized to that area in the state of Alabama.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's pockets in Mississippi. And I'm sure there's pockets in Georgia. And I'm sure there's pockets in West Virginia.
Because it's not going to be erased. It's going to be pockets of that in California.
It's going to be pockets of that in California. You get up way northern California, up near the Oregon border. That's pretty vanilla areas, if you know what I mean. But further south you go, you start hitting Sacramento, San Francisco, and then you start getting southern into LA and the whole LA basin. I mean, everybody's everywhere. And it should be. If you are only around your own kind, you don't learn any other perspective. You don't learn anything else. And every culture, every race, every religion has a value added. They just do. It's this systemic, this whole country's racist as a whole. No, it really isn't. In fact, this country has damn near broken itself to prove it isn't. Mm-hmm. And the only ones, there's a certain demographic still keeping that thought process alive instead of just letting it die. Like, stop. Let it go. Okay? Just move on.
Remember, I didn't even know what computer was. How was I supposed to live life without knowing what a computer was?
I know. But you know what? I will tell you, I grew up when there wasn't computers, and I'll tell you, life was simpler. Cell phones didn't exist, thank God. I remember I got my first beeper and thought I was the man and realized how annoying that was real fast to be able to get a hold of. Like, oh, man. Computers, my mom finally got one in the 90s, and, of course, the one thing I was interested in was boobies. I was like, oh. And it would take half an hour to download a picture, Like, oh, you look in the driveway like, come on, hurry up, download this picture.
That's what,
damn it.
10 megabytes of memory was like, oh my God,
you got 24 megs? What are you, rich? My work laptop has 5 terabyte hard drive.
Got a hard line to like the wall jack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. If you picked up the phone, hang up.
That's freaking funny.
AOL Instant Messenger was the shizzle. You had the disc. But life was simpler. And honestly, if you want to look at socioeconomic, I know this episode's really heavy. People are like, hey, this shit ain't funny, actually, but I think you need to hear it. Some people need to hear it. Now, the people who probably listen to us, by and large, probably already know this, but you never know we get a new listener. You never know. The generation I grew up with played outside.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't have beepers. We didn't have phones. We didn't have electronics. We played outside. We made up our own fun. We didn't cry, bitch, piss, whine, or moan. We drank water out of the garden hose. There's a tree if you need to pee in the backyard. Be in front of the house when the streetlights come on. Not necessarily in the damn house, just in front of the house when the streetlights come on. We didn't worry about getting kidnapped. I don't think I ever worried about that. And we would be 5 miles away on our bikes. We'd be 5 miles away. Our parents have no idea where the hell we're at. And I'm pretty sure my mom was setting me up to get kidnapped because I remember her telling me, don't ever take candy from strangers unless they offer you a ride. I think she was like, one less mouth to feed. You know, you got 3 brothers, I can knock it down to 2. You know, I'll save some money. But it was a time we didn't worry about that. I didn't worry about that. My parents didn't worry about that shit. And I grew up in a large urban city, a huge urban city. Mm-hmm. We had everything. We had rapes, robberies, murders, everything else has, but we just didn't see it, or we just didn't pay attention to it because we're kids and we're smart enough to not pay attention to it. We're like, yeah, it doesn't affect me.
Right.
But kids these days, when's the last time you saw kids outside playing?
Nope.
Never do. When I grew up, though, every yard had kids, and all the kids in the neighborhood get together by age groups. 10-year-olds didn't hang out with the teenagers. The 10-year-olds hung out with the other 10-year-olds, and 13-year-olds hung out with the other 13-year-olds, but they'd be playing stickball or baseball or riding skateboards or whatever, building a fort, whatever the hell they were doing. This is the 80s.
Yeah.
And we were happier, we were healthier. We learned how to take a fall and bounce right back up. Mom coming out, oh my God, are you okay, Grayson? Jesus Christ. Parents now, they're helicopters. I'm like, dude, stop helicoptering your fucking kid. And I found this to be true. My grandmother said it. My grandmother was the wisest one I've ever met, and I didn't realize that till I was older. But you never do. She told me this, though. If you treat kids like shoe leather, they will never let you down. If you treat kids like glass, they will shatter every time. Well, holy shit, she was right. So I didn't raise my son like glass. I raised him like shoe leather. He'd hit the ground and be like, you good? Okay. When you react as a parent, the kid goes, how bad is it? So if you're like, that hurt, don't do that again, huh? They would look to you for that reaction. You don't react, off they go. Arm could be hanging off. All right, have a good time. Go play. We raised tougher kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we truly raised. Gen X was probably the last really, truly tough raised kids. We were raised to fight each other, give each other black eyes. We shot each other BB guns, for the love of God. We just never, nothing in the face, nose, or face, neck, or dick. Other than that, fair game. We used to ride mini bikes without helmets and crash them. That's how you learn how to take a fall. You popped right back up, fired up, took off. It was a healthier time. Black kids hung out with white kids hung out with Mexican kids. Everybody hung out with each other, and nobody gave a shit. Nobody brought it up. I don't think I ever heard a racial slur from anybody growing up because it was just everybody hung out with everybody.
Yeah.
Those kids are all welcome at my house. I was welcome at their house. It never occurred to me until you get older and then you go to certain places and you're like, holy shit, this shit's still alive? Like, I thought that shit was dead.
Backwards. Like, I remember first moving here to Texas, my grandmother was worried that I was going to get killed here by but I don't want to say what I want to say, like what she was thinking, but she pretty much thought like a group of white people were going to like kill me.
The Klan. Yeah.
And that like people in Texas still ride horses. Like, like you see a horse in the street, I'm like, no, like
only during parades.
I see Silverados like on the street, like no, there's no horses here. This isn't like 1800s like Spanish Mexican War, like I'm sorry, Spanish American War. This is 2023 like San Antonio or Dallas or Fort Worth or whatever. Yeah. Like there's cars on the freeway. Yeah, there's cars on the regular roads. This is not.
So I visited
horse
Canada.
And buggy.
I visited Canada once, and I handed my passport. And they saw my license, and it said Texas. And he goes, you have a gun on you? I said, no. Why? Because you're from Texas.
It's a fair assumption.
No, I don't have a gun on me.
I'm going
to want you. Step over here. Okay. No.
You got a repeater rifle.
Yeah, I was like, I got a 30-30 Winchester 95 on my back, and I carry a hog leg. Like, come on, dude. I got a buntline special. But yeah, that was you're from Texas, so, you all have guns and you don't like black people. What? But that's that stereotype.
I like Texas. Compared to where I came from, I like Texas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you probably added 30 years to your life just moving here. You'd probably be dead by now if you just stay where you were at.
Statistically, I would have been.
Statistically dead or in prison. And that's just the realities of where you grew up. And that's where you grew up, though. That's your experiences. Doesn't make them less valid than anyone else's. But you got older and you opened your eyes. You didn't just automatically swallow whatever was shoved in your mouth. You're able to think for yourself. Fantastic thing, if you can do it, is think for your damn self. But by and large, this huge leftist group does not think for themselves, like lemmings. Mm-hmm. One thinks it and they all think it. And only because someone they don't like said it. Trump could say tomorrow that pedophilia is a horrible thing, and there'd be people automatically like having pedophiles come stay at their house just because he said he didn't like them. I mean, it's just that kind of thinking. Like, not everything he says is bad. Not everything he says is good. You're not going to agree 100% with one person. You can't. I voted for him, but do I agree with everything he did? Not everything he's done do I agree with. No. But I'm counting him to make the right decisions for this country.
Yeah.
That's what I voted for. I didn't vote for him because I liked every single thing he did. Genuinely, he was the lesser of the two damn evils. Mm-hmm. Okay? Would I like there to be more than one or two parties? Yes, I would.
Yeah.
You know, but sadly, we have a two-party system. We really do. The other ones can't really get their foot in there. They're just not money.
That's true.
They don't have the money. They don't have the financial backing.
Yeah.
Okay? That is what it is. It's always going to be that way probably until there's a major revolution. I mean, that's just, you're going to have Republican, Democrat. That's all you're really going to have. You might have Libertarian or whatever they want to call it, Tea Party, whatever they want to call it. I consider myself more a constitutionalist, honestly, if I had to pick a side.
Yeah.
But I do notice Republicans do tend to adhere more to the Constitution than the Democrats do.
They do.
Democrats want to change everything they don't like in the Constitution. The Republicans just want to adhere to it.
Yeah.
I'd rather just adhere to it. It was written that way for a reason. Why don't we just let it work? You know, you want to come here? Do it right. Welcome to America. You want to come here? Get a job. Support your family. The American dream, like we all have to do. You support your family. I support mine by having jobs and we pay the bills. That is the American dream. Coming here and living off the tit of American taxpayers is not the dream. Yeah. That makes you a leech. You are not value added. You are value subtracted. You're a leech. Thus endeth the sermon. Sorry. You don't like that? Sorry. Now, do I think it'd be smarter that did it in phases? Criminals first, 100% first. Criminals, absolutely. Yeah, they need to go. Okay.
Yeah,
but
I'll
give you an example. Let's say you and I go to do a warrant hit. We hit the door. That guy's got a warrant. We take him into custody. We run that guy on the couch. He's got a warrant too. Are we going to leave him there?
No.
Because we got the guy we came for? Or are we going to, oh, you're coming too?
Yeah.
Okay, same thing. So when they go to look for someone who's illegal, and they find out he's illegal, well, he's going too.
Yeah, that's more likely what's going to end up happening.
That's what happens now. You know, and I'm sorry, but that is what it is. You know, and all these businesses that on the low illegally pay illegals to work for them, they need to be face charges for that.
Can't remember which city, but I know there was a I guess he's the owner of a company. Like, I guess when the ICE did the raids, they took most of his staff, so he has to rehire a bunch of people now. Sucks for him because for one of the face that now he's introduced with a problem that he probably didn't think was going to happen, but he definitely didn't plan for when these ICE raids were made known to the public. He didn't plan for it, but it does suck because he specifically hired them because he could pay them at a lower rate. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what they're doing. And there's laws against that.
That's the unfairness of the whole, like, doing what he was doing. Mm-hmm. And now you got to go out there and go hire in the actual market. You actually got to pay people fair market wages. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the minimum is still $7.25 an hour, but
way too low. That needs to be revisited.
I guarantee you though, he's not paying them $7.25. He's going to have to pay them like something attractive so they can come and work for him. Yeah. But that's a problem that you, as a business as an entrepreneur, businessman, woman, whatever, you should plan for. He's like devastated that his workforce got swept up, which, hey, that sucks for you.
But you also knew it's illegal to hire him. You know it's against federal law to do that. You did it anyway, and now you're surprised the consequence that you thought would never come.
Yep.
Well, they're coming. The chickens will come home to roost eventually. Like my dad used to say, your chickens will come home to roost eventually. Yeah. And I get caught today, but you will get caught eventually at some point. He should be very lucky they don't come after his ass and they just leave him alone.
They probably just want to leave him alone.
They're probably just going to leave him alone, but they could turn around and go, you know what? No, you had 10 illegal people working for you. You're paying them under the table. That's illegal for a reason. We can charge you. Yeah. If they're not, he should just thank his lucky stars and shut his fucking mouth and be happy. But he won't. He'll go crying to the social media, which all it does is the nail that sticks up is the one that gets hammered down. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you don't pound nails in that are already driven. You pound the ones that are sticking out. Like, dude, shut up. Mm-hmm. And it's an entitlement generation now. Give me because I exist. I believe, therefore I am. Well, it doesn't quite work that way. I would love, that's like me going to USA and go, I feel like a millionaire. I am a millionaire. Why? Because I say I'm one, so give me $1 million in my account. Bank's going to be like, get the fuck out of here. No bank is going to do that. No bank is going to, they're going to be like, you're a Looney Tune. You know, you might end up ED'd, you know, like, hey, this guy's weird. But they seem to think it works for everyone else. I want free education. Well, it's not free. Someone's paying for it. I want free this. Well, it ain't free. Someone's paying for it. And it's not you right now because you're tax exempt as a student. But when you get a real job, and it's funny as hell when you got, like you were saying, high school, college, if they get a scholarship or whatever, or their parents are paying for it, to them, that's not realistic. They're living in that fake bubble. But then they hit the real world. And it is funny how many people I've seen turn from Democrat or, well, just liberal to conservative that quick when they get in the real world and realize, oh, shit, that liberal shit don't work in the real world.
Your bubble gets popped like
real quick.
When
you get your first boss and goes, I thought I told you 8 o'clock. Well, yeah, but I felt like coming in at 9. You're fired. Wait, what? Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah.
Wait, but I feel like I can come in at 9. Like, well, we told you 8 o'clock was the time you need to start. And they're just, but. And the employer's like, there's 20 other kids behind you who will be here on time. Have a nice day. I'm all for that. Mm-hmm. But they they run to TikTok. My boss fired me for no reason. I was only an hour late. An hour late? It's not like 2 minutes, boss, a blue tire. I still got here. Look, I can grease my hands. All right, man. Hey, no worries. You come in an hour late, and I felt like coming an hour late. I didn't feel I needed to be here at 8. Like, it interferes with my yoga or whatever the hell the excuse I want to come up with. And the boss is like, well, I run a business, and I don't have time for that. I needed you here. And because you weren't here, you cost me business. Mm-hmm. Like, so now you're fired, and I'll find someone else behind you who will be here on time. Yeah. And those kids lose their fucking mind. And that's that entitlement. I exist, so therefore you must give me everything I'm asking for simply because I exist. Now you got idiots suing their parents because they didn't abort me. I didn't want to be here.
Is that a thing, really? I gotta look that one up.
Look it up. I thought they were bullshitting too. I looked it up. It is an actual court case. I cannot remember what state. She sued her parents and won. She won, which tells you how stupid juries are, because her parents had her. They didn't abort her. She didn't ask to be born. And she sued her parents. Now, that's the overblow of the case. That's the large envelope of the case. It was basically what it was they wanted her out of their house. You're 30-something years old. Go get a job. She didn't want to leave. She figured they would support her forever because she didn't want to be here. So when they finally kicked her out and had her evicted through the courts, like, no, get the fuck out and get a job. She sued because I didn't want to be here. You forced me to be here. I should have been aborted, blah, blah, blah. She sued and she won.
Forced. That's funny. I was forced to be here.
I was forced to be here. And you read cases like that and you just got to say, this world is just... Aliens drive by Earth and roll their windows up. Do you know the aliens that come here are probably the rebellious teenagers? Like, I dare you to go to Earth. I dare you. These are not... You know what I mean? Good citizen aliens don't stop at Earth. They roll the windows up and keep going to Pluto. They're not fucking hanging around here, okay? This is why we haven't made contact. We're not fucking bright enough yet. Have you seen that meme where the alien goes, subject identifies as a human male? Did you just assume my gender? Subject identifies as a retarded male? I didn't see that. This aliens... We could have warp drive by now, but aliens are like, yeah, they're not ready. We're not. So they're probably back in Centauri Alpha watching us going, they were so close for a while. And now it's just the rebellious kids that come visit Earth on Friday night, and then they anal probe, and now people push back against the anal probe. They're like, okay, it's not fun now.
Oh, man. You can sue anybody for anything.
You can.
God, like, you really can.
And while I understand the value to that right for civil redress, I understand that. You should have that. Because the only thing that gets businesses' attentions is losing money. But I can sue you as my neighbor because you gave me the finger. For emotional distress, that distressed you? If that distresses you, I got bad news for the rest of your life. Because there's far worse out there than this. That's the shit that just, now everyone wants to bring up the McDonald's lawsuit when the woman burned herself. There's actually more to that story.
Oh, Bill Miller's one?
No, the McDonald's one. Back in I want to say it was late 80s, early 90s. Coffee. McDonald's coffee used to be extraordinarily hot. Like boiling hot. But there was more to the story. She didn't ask for millions. That's not what she went after. She wanted her medical bills paid. That was it. Because I guess if what I remember right, and I could be wrong, don't go running to YouTube and, oh my God, you're wrong. Everybody relax and unclench your assholes. They gave her the cup, but the lid wasn't completely secure. When she took it, it dropped in her lap and it burned her. And it burned her pretty bad. It burned her vagina, Jesus. Her vagina, her thighs, her legs, it burned her badly. She just wanted her medical bills paid for. That was it. Just the medical bills. But the lawyer she hired, we can get millions, we can get millions, we can get millions, and pretty much seduced her into that.
Okay.
So there was more to that story. That's not what she originally wanted. She just wanted her medical bills paid for. And McDonald's would have just paid the bills.
Yeah.
But the lawyer's like, oh, hell no, we're going to get millions for this. You got, burned severely. Yeah, she did, and it was their fault. But pay for the medical bills and call it a day. But that cost McDonald's a lot of money.
That's why, like, Bill Miller's, they recently lost that lawsuit. The lady who got burned by the barbecue sauce, the hot barbecue sauce.
No, I hadn't heard about that.
And so now if you go to Bill Miller's and you get your bags, there should be a caution hot sticker somewhere on the bag. And that is strictly for legal reasons, to let people know that, hey, this sauce that we gave you might be hot.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
She won millions for that one, not like, I think like 3, I don't know, somewhere maybe under 10 million.
All right, but after you pay your lawyer, because he's going to get a huge chunk, 40% probably, after you pay taxes, federal taxes on that, because that's not a wrongful death, so you're going to have to pay taxes on it, you ain't going to get what you thought. So when you see those huge settlements, like on the billboards, Thomas J. Henry or Jim Davis or the Hammer or these whatever, $70 million awarded. Well, by the time it's all said and done and everything is done, probably got less than half of that.
Yeah.
Because the law firm's going to take 40%. Feds are going to take 30%.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 70%. So you might get 30% of 70 million instead of 70 million.
Yeah.
So you see these, and some companies, it's just easier just to pay you to go away.
And that's
Just
if your state
go
don't
away.
have taxes either. Because some states
California.
have state taxes too.
New York, they'll take your shit.
You can thank certain politicians for more taxes as the
Yep.
solve to a lot of problems.
Yep.
So, hey, there you go. They got to get their slice too.
The
Gotta
fact
pay-
that
gotta pay
Trump
the
wants
man.
to, get rid of income taxes, now people are losing their mind over that. I'm like, well, the only ones that should be losing their mind over that are ones that don't have a fucking job. But when $1,000 a month comes out of my check for federal taxes, yeah, I get a little pissed because I don't know where the hell it's going.
Anywhere.
Okay. I am all for a flat tax. You want to do taxes? Fine. Taxes pay for the military, they pay for the roads, they pay for whatever. But it should be like a flat tax. You pay 10% regardless how much you make. So if you made $30,000, you pay $3,000. You made $300,000, you pay $30,000. It's fair. It's 10%. People are like, well, that's not fair. He made $1 million. Okay, but that's the American dream. He made $1 million, but he paid 10%. So he paid $100,000. You made $70,000, you paid $7,000. That is what's called fair. Not the amount, but the percentage. And so they hear amount. That's not fair. No. Percentage, not amount. 10%. 10. Whether you like it or not. That's fair. 10%. No more special this, special that, special. Nah. 10% period call today. It would solve so many problems. You shouldn't need an IRS. You don't need a fucking IRS. You don't need TurboTax. A simple calculator can tell you what you pay. And if they take it of every single check, you don't have to file shit at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to file a damn thing. And the fact that the IRS needs your W-2s. No, they don't, because you can find your W-2s on the IRS website. You don't need my W-2s.
Hell, they know when it's wrong.
They know when it's wrong.
If
Well,
if
the
you
fuck,
submit
why
it
didn't
with
you
an
file
error,
it then?
They send it back like, hey, this is wrong.
Yeah. Well, then why didn't you file it? Now, the one thing I will say about the IRS, if they overpaid you or they overtook from you, they will pay you back. I mean, they will if you overpaid. So, I mean, they are honest about it. Like, hey, we fucked you in the ass. Here's the back. What is it? The dildo of consequences rarely comes unlubed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they will pay it back. But where I think it's unconstitutional is when you owe back taxes, they make you pay interest. That's bullshit. I'm like, I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that. Nope. I don't believe taxes are legal. I don't believe taxes are legal to fucking begin with. I really don't. And honestly, I do agree with tariffs. We've been getting raked over the coals and butt fucked by all these other countries for decades. And now we're putting a stop to it and everybody's freaking out. No, we're just making a fair market. Fine, you want to do business here? You're going to pay for it. So either bring your business back to the United States and provide jobs to Americans or pay a lot of money. You pick. I don't see the downside to that. So when all these American auto manufacturers bring their auto plants back to the United States, look what made Detroit such a powerhouse in the 50s and 60s. Manufacturing. Ford, Chrysler, they're all there. And these guys make good money. I mean, where else could you, a high school dropout, make $100,000 a year?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
unions I think kind of did a lot. I'm pro union, but they did a lot of damage though. They really hurt those companies. Like, you're going to pay the guy he sweeps up 110 grand a year to sweep the floors. Like, hold on, that's a bit much. But when they started sending it overseas because of cheaper labor, it fucked the economies of those cities that have come to depend on that income from
Correct.
Ford, Chrysler, GM, whatever. So Trump's not saying you can't sell your product here. That's not what he's saying at all. He's saying you're going to pay for it. You want to sell it here, you're going to pay for it. And that's either going to force American manufacturers to bring it back to the United States, which brings jobs to us, value added. Okay? I don't care about other countries. I don't give a fuck about China. I don't give a rat's ass about India or Taiwan. I don't care. I care about America first. I'm sorry. I'm an American. This is my country. If you're Chinese, you should say Chinese first because you're Chinese. That would make sense.
They do.
And they do. We're the only country that it's not okay for us to be proud to be an American. It's not okay for us to be proud to be American. That's a bad thing to be proud to be an American.
They probably put that domestic terrorist label on you.
Yeah, probably.
If you're too pro-America.
But I'll tell you right now, I would never go to another country and riot in their streets and wave an American flag. Hell no, I get shot. Or I'll get stampeded.
You're pretty much, I feel like you're spied on anyway when you go to another country.
I'm sure you are.
Like in certain countries.
They're going to be really bored watching me walk around be a tourist, but I'm not going to go and talk shit about their government and wave a foreign flag on their soil. These idiots are protesting about a country they don't want to go back to, but they're waving the flag of a country that they don't want to go live in. Make that make sense. Viva la Mexico. You want to go back there? Oh, hell no.
It's the heritage.
I'm like, okay, I'm Irish, but I'm not. Okay, rephrase that.
Ireland flag.
I am of Irish ethnicity, but I'm not Irish. I'm American. I am not going to wave the Irish flag. I'm an American. I will wave the American flag because I'm an American. So you can be proud of being Hispanic heritage all day long. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a rich history and a rich heritage there. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But you're an American. So if you want to come live here, you should not be waving a foreign flag. Whether you like it or not. In most countries, it's illegal to wave a foreign flag in that country. They don't sell them. You can't find them. And if you're trying to go through their customs with it, you might have a problem. There's a reason for that.
Can you imagine being one of the people that are allowed to go to North Korea for tourism reasons, and you bring an American flag
see what happens. See what happens. See what happens. And then you'll be crying, "Oh my God, they didn't allow my feelings." No, it's because it's North Korea, dumbass. They don't give a shit about your feelings. They have strict laws and rules, whether you like it or not. It's another country. I don't agree with North Korea and the way they treat people, but you know what? It's their country. I don't have a say in it. So if I'm going to go visit, I should probably be cognizant of the rules. And then if I break them, I can't really fucking complain about it because I did it anyway. So like these idiots, like these kids that were hiking in Iraq and crossing to Iran and got taken to an Iranian jail and wanted to cry about it. Motherfucker, did you know where you were? That's not the United States. They don't give a shit about your feelings.
That happened?
Oh, it did. Like, one, who's the dumbass going hiking in fucking northern Iraq to begin with? Like, you're a fucking idiot. GPSs are $50 fucking. It'll tell you if you're crossing a border. But they crossed into Iran, got scooped up as spies, and taken to fucking Tehran and put in a fucking Iranian jail. They were there for a long time, too. And they were, oh my God, they don't give a shit we're Americans. No, they don't. In fact, that's probably made it worse. You probably should have said you were Canadian.
Is Iran, are they still enemies considered to America?
Oh, yeah.
Like fierce enemies,
death
right?
to America, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
So that's pretty bad. Yeah.
And on that subject, what's going on over there right now? Iran was an ally up until 1979. The Shah fell, Ayatollah took over, and they've been America's enemy ever since, from day one. Death to America, all that shit. When they took the embassy hostage, all that, the Tehran, the Iranian embassy or the American embassy in Tehran hostage, all that shit. Oh, absolutely, they're absolutely 100% a mortal enemy of the United States. But they never really been a concern. You're way the fuck over there. You whatever. But when they started putting out they had nuclear tipped ICBMs, Israel was never going to allow a nuclear Iran. It's not going to happen. They're going to do what they have to do to call it a day. And they're not going to allow it. They're just not going to. And so they're handling business. Got to respect that. May not like it, but you got to respect it. But these people are like, oh my God, Iran is attacking, or Israel's attacking poor Iran. You don't know fuck all about history, do you? You don't know a goddamn thing, do you? You saw someone on TikTok say that's a bad thing, and you're like, yeah, that's a bad thing. How about you actually read a history book? pick up the Bible. There's some history in there that might help you. Because to us, it's a story, but to them, that's their history. Like the whole, was it Ishmael and Isaac,
Yeah.
Arab and Jew. That's to us, that's a Bible story. That's not a Bible story to them. That is their history. And they are very, very aware of how close Israel is very, very aware of how close it came to being wiped completely out. And they will never allow that shit again. And any country that threatens them, well, I'm like, don't fuck with them. The Israeli Defense Forces aren't a joke. That's a serious army, and they don't fucking play. They got a hell of an air force, a hell of an army, and they will absolutely kill, 100%. They don't. You rocket them, they rocket you back. But that's been also in the news. Like Gaza rockets them, so Israel rockets back. Oh my God, Israel was picking on Gaza. You did see the bombs that they sent in there first, right?
Yeah,
they responded in kind, and now you want to fucking cry about it? Go fuck yourself.
The video is crazy. Like the fact that we can witness this just on our phones, insane.
Well, I mean, shit. We had GoPros in Iraq and Afghanistan. We had guys putting the whole war on GoPros. Saw it all the time. We saw these, Rangers and infantry guys with fucking GoPros. I'm like, all right, ding dong. You best pray you don't commit a war crime. Evidence, Exhibit A for the prosecution. Yeah, don't do that. But these days they would just in the battle now with their iPhone and Instagram or those Meta glasses. Hey Meta, play video. Bah, 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 bah. What the fuck? The world's going to shit, and I feel like we're the last two sane voices.
No, there's plenty more. There's plenty more sane voices.
But I did want to address one more thing. That Brevard sheriff in Brevard County, Florida, I like him. And here's the thing. People are flipping out because of what he said. When he said, if you break the law, you're going to jail. If you run, you'll go to jail tired. If you throw rocks or bottles or Molotov cocktails, we'll kill you dead. And people are like, oh my God, he was threatening us. No, he wasn't. He was telling us there's going to be consequences to your actions.
Well,
if you stay peaceful, he won't say a word because he's a constitutionalist. And the Constitution gives the right to peaceful protest, peaceful assembly. That does not include breaking shit, setting cars on fire, attacking officers. That's not peaceful. And I don't care how Maxine Waters tries to say everything is peaceful. CHP's got a whole fleet of burned out cars now. Like, no, that's not peaceful. I got buddies who are CHP and they've been right in the middle of that. Peaceful, my ass.
It's crazy because even then you can just see it before the whole No Kings protest, but the initial immigration raids, the white vans and everything, their windows are getting busted out. Like somebody's like on TikTok and you're seeing somebody hurl a rock and
mm-hmm. Yeah, but they were throwing Molotov cocktails at like that's arson.
It's just
like that is the only property crime you use deadly force to stop is arson. Now, probably not in California. I mean, hell, you're not allowed to protect yourself there. They expect you to just take a bullet, fall on the ground, and let the cops get there when they deal with it. Yeah, not here in Texas.
So it's just that the narrative was like shot. It is not all peaceful, and there should be no qualms with that. Like
what that sheriff said should be no issues.
Like that's because that's what happened.
That's the law. A brick is a deadly object. If you try to brick me in the fucking head, I'm going to shoot you. You damn right I'm going to shoot you.
They're throwing fireworks in the crowds.
Yeah, I mean,
Texas, throwing fireworks at police officers is a felony. There's a separate statute for it.
Yes,
it's a state jail felony.
Yep, sure is, and there's a reason for that.
Come down here and throw some fireworks at any Texas peace officer from any agency in Texas. If they catch you, you're going to jail for a felony.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Yep,
it is what it is.
So Florida, you notice the protests never turned violent at all in Florida. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe it's because all the sheriffs down there were like, we're not playing. Don't you come down there and pull that shit. You stay peaceful, we're good. You get stupid, we're going to take care of it. And boy, people listen and are like, okay, we're good. So what they do, they did it in places where they knew there would be no consequences. California, where they know they ain't going to do shit to them. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch. A thing is either a conspiracy or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Like theory of a dead man. Someone's dead or they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But I think people were hoping that a massacre would happen if they called in the Guard or the Marines, that somebody would lose their temper and fire into the crowd. I think somebody was hoping for a massacre. Yeah. They didn't get what they wanted, but if you notice, the National Guard didn't have ammo in their weapons. They didn't have a magazine in their rifles, and that reason was it was for a good reason. Gives you a minute to think about it before you pull the trigger. You now have to take it out, load it, pull the charging handle, and take it off safe. Gives you a second to kind of think about what you're doing before you pull the trigger. But I think someone was hoping for a massacre. That way they could all blame President Trump. See, he ordered people killed.
Because they already called it an escalation.
Yeah.
When he superseded Newsom.
But he didn't supersede. And that's the language they're using.
That's their wording.
But the president does not need the permission of the governor to bring the National Guard into that state. Doesn't need it. He can advise him, hey, FYI, I'm sending the Guard. I don't need your permission. Your state is still a member of the United States. So I'm sending the National Guard because this shit's going to end up costing millions. We're going to put a stop to this shit right now. Okay? Nobody has a problem with a peaceful protest. And the cops will close the streets for you. When they had the protests here, it was mariachis. I was like, now that's my kind of protest, man. You got mariachis. I was jamming to it. That's my kind of protest. You got mariachis. News interviewed this dude. It was hilarious. And they didn't put it on the mainstream, but you can find it on TikTok. But one of the major news outlets here interviewed a guy. What are you down here protesting about? He goes, I'm not. I'm here to pick up a 5'3" Latina with a big butt. That's what he said. That's why he's down at the protest. Because here it felt more like a party atmosphere. You had mariachis. You had guys selling chicken on a stick. I was like, this is my kind of protest. It stayed calm. Nobody got hurt. Nobody went to jail. Nothing got broken. Now, that's my kind of protest. You had good music, good food, beautiful women. That's a protest. Okay? That shit in LA is not a protest. That's a riot. That's an excuse to break shit. It's an excuse to loot. And it's an excuse to get away with what you want to get away with and not pay the price.
They freak. You know, it's always going to be one. They showed a group of people running out the Adidas store. Or, of course, they always hit the Apple stores.
Always. Did you see all the Apple phones on the curb that were the alarms are going off on them?
All those display phones. That's not going to work when you leave
They're not going to work, you idiot. You can't, you're a dumbass.
Oh, yeah, it never fails, man. It never fails.
When they had the riots here back in 20, I remember the mall got looted. And they told us, go in and clear the mall out. The only place we found people was the shoe stores, and the GameStop. Funnily enough, nobody messed with the jewelry. It was the weirdest thing. Like, I figured we'd find them in the jewelry stores. Nope. The GameStop and the shoe stores. And they would have a stack of games. Like, get out of here. Drop the games, get out of here. And they just run. I was like, oh my God. They pulled the gate back down, tried to secure it as best you could. But that's not protest. That's an excuse to steal. Now, are there people in those crowds with a genuine message they want the government to hear? Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Problem is, when the violent ones get through the crowd and start winding everybody up, you lose the message.
Yeah.
And now they all look the same. Wrong or right, that's how they look. They all look the same. Now they're all your enemy. Because which one of them is actually holding a megaphone that wants to get their message across versus a brick? You know what I mean? Now, that's simplistic. That is a simplistic point of view, and someone's going to send me I'm sure they're going to send us a message. Oh, my God.
And here's my retort to that. Some of these organizers, they want to see that. They want to see civil disobedience actually turn into violence because, and I don't care what you want to call it, some people on that progressive side, because I've met them before, they believe in political violence. They believe in riotous behavior and looting to achieve a social change. So I don't want to hear this, oh, you're trying to mischaracterize the movement and blah, blah, blah. Actually learn the type of social philosophy you're trying to implement, you're trying to be a part of. Because at its basic core, like the Communist Manifesto, while they may not specifically state that they want violence to a certain group of people, they have no issue being suppressing the other voice to make them the more dominant, and then to set a hard line to say, you try to change this voice, you will be dealt with. Mm-hmm. That's why you have, look Russia. Like Cold War Russia, North Korea now, and China is not considered the harsh communists like they used to be.
No. China's smart enough to realize that money still talks.
Yes.
Russia knows money still talks. Now, North Korea is the only one that is still hardcore.
Because they're isolated. I've literally seen people who live here in America, Americans that subscribe to communism, they would say that communism wasn't enacted correctly in history.
Well, it's because communism doesn't actually work.
Right.
Sounds great, but doesn't
it's
work.
Like that wasn't they never should have carried it out that way.
Yeah.
How else are you going to eradicate?
But they're not calling it communism, they call it socialist. Yeah. I'm a socialist. No, you're a communist. Let's just call it what it is.
How else would you eradicate, because one of the core tenements, eradicate all religion. Yeah. There is no diverse religion
is a threat to those kind of governments, always.
How else would you eradicate it?
was very against any kind of religion because of that. Because
right,
it controls the population.
and you can't jail them all.
No,
That
you
you
can't get them
can't.
all.
So what's going to be the other option to jailing a voice that you want to suppress? You're going to kill them, or you want to send them to re-education camps.
No, yeah.
Like, so I really for the people who are going to see this and like, oh, fascist, whatever. Well, why don't you actually try and look at the backbone of your philosophy that you subscribe to, and then make your decision? But I just know you won't. I just know you won't.
No.
I used to be progressive. I know you won't.
Yeah.
I just know you won't.
Have you ever watched a liberal and a conservative talk to each other?
They're like talking past each
By
other.
and large, though, the conservative is calm, and the liberal's screaming and yelling, and and the conservatives try to say something. It's like there is no calm back and forth. Politics used to be like this.
Yeah.
Here was the sun, here was the center, a little bit right, a little bit left, but they could work together.
Mhm.
JFK was a very moderate Democrat. Okay, Lyndon Johnson, that was something else entirely. But now it's like this. And you don't see these people anymore. You see these people.
Yeah.
These are quiet. They go to work, they come home, they work for a living. I don't know where these people have all this time to riot, but I would be guessing that people that are protesting probably don't have jobs.
No, well, they have part-time jobs.
Or part-time jobs,
Yeah.
or they're Uber drivers, or whatever the fuck they are. But I'm in a professional job where I can't take the time off to go downtown and fucking riot. I just don't have that kind of time. I have shit outside of work too. I got responsibilities. I have a family. I have a job. I have things to do. You idiots, 10,000 protesters, no one missed work.
You see, they're taking kids down there too.
Yes.
I know there was
Like,
like
are you fucking
a
stupid?
kid got hit with some pepper spray or some pepper balls, and then like the dad's like, "Hey, don't worry, son, it's just pepper spray." I'm like, why is your son there? He's like 9 years old, 10 years old. He's preteen.
What is that?
Not even a teenager.
What does that tell you?
It's just terrible.
It tells me that
Why
people are
can't you
stupid.
introduce like political activism to your child, but from the safety of your home? Why do you have to take him to an area that's been declared an unlawful assembly, and then like
act shocked when they get exposed
non-lethal
to it?
ammunitions, and they're trying to disperse the crowd because people are throwing fireworks to the crowd? Like, why are you exposing your child to that? That's weird.
Yep.
That's
Because
weird.
you're probably hoping your kid gets hurt and then you turn around and sue the government.
You go, do whatever you do or whatever, and then you take the experience to your child at home and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, I fought for social change by doing X, Y, Z."
I mean, I'm a moron, son, and I got you some brand new shoes I protested for.
Oh, yeah.
It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all smokescreen. After a while, it's just draining.
Yeah.
And there is such a thing as fatigue. You have compassion fatigue. There's all sorts of kinds of fatigue.
Some new buzzwords like
But
fatigue. Like that.
But
I don't know. That's all weird.
as cops, we have compassion fatigue. After a while, you start losing compassion for some shit you deal with constantly. Like, this is the 10th time you called us because your neighbor's garbage can is on your property line. That's fatigue. You're like, oh my God, I can't fucking do this. That's fatigue. There is such a thing as fatigue for this sort of shit. Like, just go to work, go home, live your life.
Mhm.
Stop worrying about what everyone else is fucking doing. Worry about you. Okay?
Yeah.
As a country, we should take the same advice. Stop worrying about everyone else and worry about us.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what's going on in Thailand. I don't give a shit what's going on in Greenland. I don't care. Stop giving money to other countries and bring it home. Stop pouring money down a bottomless pit of countries that will never pay it back, and it's never going to fucking happen. We have two allies in this fucking world, Britain and Israel, and that's the only two allies we got left on this fucking planet. Don't count on Canada, and damn sure can't count on Mexico. Okay? It is what it is. Okay? The UK and Israel. And even Israel is getting kind of shaky because we treated them like shit for way too fucking long. And they were the only really true allies we had in that region. Okay? Egypt ain't no fucking ally. Syria, Jordan, none of them are fucking allies. They're allies of convenience. Give me money and I'll be your ally. But when Trump, like the Doge thing, I agree with that. There was programs like $5 million to teach trans kids in Ghana. I'm like, really? That's not our fucking problem. That's Ghana's problem. Let them pay for that shit.
They don't even like that over there.
No, they don't.
And that's still such a
And
social
over
taboo.
there, they'll kill your fucking ass over there for that shit. Like, you can't go prancing down the fucking street in Ghana like that. You'll get killed. You will get stoned. That's that simple.
I don't know. I've never been to Africa.
I don't think you're going to find anyone in the Congo doing that. No. Okay. Only here to be tolerated because you have the right to freedom of expression, which is great. You do have the right to do that. Great. Hey, you do you, man. Whatever makes you happy as a person. But don't expect everyone to be thrilled with it or subscribe to it. Sorry. I have my own personal views. But I don't jam mine down your throat. I don't walk up to you and go, well, I'm straight and you're going to like it. I don't care. You do you and I'll do me. But don't try to jam onto me what you do and then try to make me think it's okay. I don't have to think it's okay. I have to protect your right as a police officer to do it, and that's all I need to do. But don't expect me to dance for joy and go, hey, oh yeah, let's dance down the street fucking together. No, I don't have to do that. I'm not going to do that. What you choose to do is your business, but keep it your business. That's all you got to do. You know, it's, if I wasn't worried about getting canceled or fired, I would go a lot further, but I don't want to get canceled or fired, so I have to. If I ever get fired, then you'll hear a mouthful. You'll get an earful if I ever get fired. And then you're going to hear the true T-Bone come out. There'll be no more. I'll get canceled. And they're probably charged. So, guys, we're sorry we took so long. We're sorry it was a long 3 months. We feel bad. We wanted to get this out here, but like I said, we had so much going on. If anything I said offended you, tough shit, I don't care. If that bothers you that much, the real world's going to kick the shit out of you. It's that simple.
Yes,
but
it is.
Feel free to email us at runnincode2023@gmail.com. So that's runnincode2023@gmail.com. Feel free to email us. Thoughts, questions, concerns, vitriol, whatever. If it's stupid enough, I'll read it. Comments on YouTube. Great. I've had to delete some, though, that were just like, okay, that's just dumb. That has nothing to do with what we're even talking about. Like, you're an idiot. I don't lock off comments. You can leave comments, but if you're out of line, because no one needs to N-word this and that, I don't need all that shit, dude. I have no problem listening to another person's point of view. Ever.
Yep.
Talk to me like a person. Be calm and speak to me with logic and reasoning. I'll listen to whatever you got to say. And I may even go, you know what, I agree. I can agree with some of that because I'm not a dumbass. I can use my own brain. But the screaming, the yelling, name calling, I don't want that crap. So you can just don't waste your time doing that shit. There was a gentleman who left a comment on one of our videos it was a well-reasoned, he did not agree with us, and he left a well-reasoned argument why he didn't. Hey, I can appreciate it. I will leave that comment up because that was done very professionally, very logically, very rationally. He didn't use vitriol, he didn't use name calling. I don't agree with your point of view and da-da-da-da. Okay. All right. Cool. I have no problem with that. That is how discourse should work. I don't agree with your point of view, and here's why. And then you come back and you try to tell me why. But if you both can stay calm and talk through it, you'd be amazed what gets fixed.
It wasn't like the First Amendment auditor episode.
Oh my God, that was funny. That was funny. I forgot all about that one.
I love watching First Amendment auditors, but I like watching the ones that are problematic only because it's funny.
Yeah, because it's fun. It's entertaining and nothing
it's
else.
just because they know what they're doing it for. Now there's, like I said in that episode before, there are auditors that are literally going out there and they want to see how we react to them, but they're not presenting themselves in such let's use a big word, ludicrous way.
Yeah.
That they're going to cause hysteria for no reason. Like I like them. I don't watch them because they're literally like, okay, I want to go in here, I'm going to record at the post office or whatever, blah blah blah. I'm not going to position my camera over somebody who's at the counter putting personal information on a form, and then get upset when that person gets, hey man, back up out my space. Like, take 6 feet, bro, COVID, whatever, I don't care. I like the ones like, I don't want to give him credit to any name, but I like the one that argues with people, curses them out, then puts his camera down and squares up with them. And
Did you see the one where this auditor was trying that crap with an active duty soldier?
Yeah, in the post office.
That soldier's like, oh, you want to go outside? Let's go. Come on. And yeah, he kept talking shit. He was backing up real fucking quick and realized this is not a cop. He's going to fuck me up.
I think that auditor was had said like a racial slur to someone who was Asian.
Yeah.
And then that gentleman was
getting pissed about it.
He was standing up for the use of the racial
slur. But he thought he was going to act like a cop.
Yeah.
And he found out that's not a cop, that's a soldier. And when he started coming out after him, the guy's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he started backing up real quick. I'm like, yeah, you're a bitch.
I mean, if you want to use your First Amendment right to hurl racial slurs in public.
Okay. Go for
whatever.
it. But
don't get upset.
You get punched in the face.
Right. If somebody
I don't want to hear you crying.
Rocks you with a stone cold left. Like, okay, is it assault? Yes. Do you want to prosecute? Will we take that person to jail? Yes. But I guarantee you, when that goes to trial and they hear all the details,
The jury's
that
gonna be like,
individual will say not guilty.
I might have punched him too.
Your best bet
So,
then is asking for a bench trial.
Do you have the
And
right?
hoping the judge is on your side.
hope the judge is on your side.
Judge is on your
So,
side.
do you have the right to say whatever you want? Yes, you do. Do you have the right to face the consequences?
Yes, you do.
So, you can say whatever you want, but if I walked up on you and I started, you're an N word this, and you did it, and you, I'm like, oh, what'd you hit me for? You look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You started it. So when you got these idiots that walk up on cops who are doing nothing, they're just standing around talking. I want your names and your badge number. I want your supervisor. And what are you doing? Blah, blah. And they're just like, go away. Oh, this officer's violating the law by not giving me his badge
They'll
number.
call him dirty. Like a dirty officer.
Yeah, one, there's no law that requires an officer to give you their name and badge number. It's an agency policy. Two, they're ignoring you because you're a fucking idiot.
You remember that Inglourious Bastards at the end where they shoot like what his name, Hernan or whatever the dude's name was, and the other guy's like, "You'll be shot for this."
He's like, "No, I've been chewed out.
I've been chewed out.
No, I'll get chewed out. I've been chewed out before. Yeah, I'll have you shot for this. More like chewed out.
Yeah. That's how it is when we don't give our name and badge number to somebody.
They're just like, next time, give me a badge. Okay, that's all that happens. Literally, that's all that happens. When people, I want your name badge, I'm like, you know what's going to do? What that's going to do? What? Nothing.
I'm going to drive off. Have a nice day, though.
I'm going to drive off and pulling over another speeder. And they're sitting back there. No, I demand you stay. Have a nice day. And I get back in my car, and they're still back there banging their dash and shit. I'm like, wow, you are a tool.
To them, that is government corruption. I'm like, no, this isn't. This is just you want me to stay here for your viewership to go higher on your YouTube account, or you're looking for a civil suit of some sort. Yep. I'm not going to give you either. Yep. I'm going to drive away.
Here's the people that are watching you. They're watching you and laughing at you. That's who's watching. That's when your numbers go up, because you're such a fucking idiot. They're laughing at you. That's what they're doing. They find it hilarious, just like we find it hilarious. But I'm not playing your game, and you're not going to sit there and wind me up either. I'm just going to walk away from you, and you can holler and rant and rave, and I don't care. You can do all that shit. There was one here that was famous for that shit for a while. I never had any problems with him, but I didn't mess with him, and he left me alone. But there was another officer that he could wind him up very easily, and he knew he could get under his skin and so he came after him every chance he got. He would fuck with him. And I told him, I said, dude, just drive away. Don't engage with him, because he knows that he gets under your skin. He loves you. He looks for you. Like, dude, just fucking drive off. But he would sit there and I was like, oh my God. I walk up, what's up, man? Cool, have a good one. And he left me alone. But I never rose to his games either. There was another agency that called and said, he's outside of our building on the sidewalk filming our agency. Okay, well,
let him.
You're cops too, aren't you? But it's also in public, right? So who gives a shit? But we went down there. I drove up. He saw me. He said, am I doing anything illegal? I said, nope, have a nice day. And I drove off. And I said, hey, call that agency and tell them that it's 100% legal to stand on the sidewalk and film a public building from the outside. Have a nice day. And I've never had a problem with that guy ever since. He sees me, leaves me alone. Because he was hoping I'd get out and go, what are you doing there? I want your name. I ain't doing that shit. He's on the sidewalk. He's just looking for someone to do something stupid to make him rich. Or viewers.
Yeah.
50 minutes of fame and possibly money.
Yeah.
Don't fall for it. But that was a whole
that was a whole nother thing. It's just can't help
the stupidity. You just can't help it. You're just like, oh my God, you just want to fucking cry because they're so stupid. But so to our loyal fans, our loyal audience, thank you for sticking by our side. We're sorry it took so long. We will try to do better. Try. We have, again, a lot of stuff going on these days. My days off are now completely opposite his. It's just trying to get together these days, because that's the real world. We have jobs. We do it for fun. The job pays the bills, and that's why we have lights and cameras, because, we have jobs. No one's sponsoring us, but if you're listening to Millionaire, we're not above taking money to make this a bigger show, because I'd love to do lives. My favorite podcast, I have a favorite podcast. I love the Anti-Hero podcast. I love Brent Tucker and Tyler Hoover. I love them. I would love to do what they do, but they get the sponsors, but they do the lives, and it's live on. Yeah. It's actually live on the air, on YouTube live, and people pay money to have their comments read on the air and ask questions, and they're great. I'd love to do something like that, but I just don't think we'll ever have that ability. It's just
not with the time. You need at least the time to do all that too.
You need the time. It is a lot of time. They talk about it because Tyler's an active duty sheriff's deputy, and Brent, he has a couple businesses, and they still have to do the episodes, edit them, They got to have the money to fly people in, sit with them, interview. It's a lot. There's a lot more. If any watching this doesn't have podcasts, there's actually a lot to this that you don't see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's not just sit down, play, stop, load it. It's a lot. We got to edit it. We have to pay for certain websites to upload this. It is not easy, and it's not fast.
Yeah.
This video here will take us an hour to edit. Just this video, and it was only an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So that's why a lot of it doesn't happen, because it takes money, it takes time, and I don't have either of those things because I'm just a cop, So, but to our loyal fans, thank you for sticking around us. Please continue to watch us. Please share us with your friends. Tell us about it. We love it when the viewers, we like to engage with y'all. Feel free to send us messages on YouTube. Feel free to send us messages by email. We'll respond unless it's dirty or just stupid, and then no, I'm just going to ignore you because you're an idiot. But if you genuinely have a problem with something we've said, be an adult, be rational, tell us your problem. If we're wrong, we'll read on the air and tell you that we were wrong. If we were right, we'll tell you why we were right and why you're an idiot. Because we also have the right to call you an idiot. So, and I will.
Yeah, don't give me no crap about being a progressive, whatever, before and still watching the Young Turks. Or whatever.
He learned.
I watch a wide range of people. So just don't give me no crap for that.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I just watch the other side just to see how stupid they are and get a good laugh. Popcorn is like, oh my God, that's great. So, from J-Man and I here in South Texas, and our loyal crowd, brothers and sisters, please watch your back, be careful, be safe. Tis riot season right now, so be careful. Keep your head in a swivel, and just get home safe to your families every day, and stick around with us because we're going to have more to come. So, from J-Man and I, J-Man, you got anything to add?
Nope.
All right, we're out of here.